Good morning. Last week I put off dealing with various informative announcements and the like to concentrate in talking to you about the importance of caring for your soul in a season of disruption. And I'm glad I did that because that priority will never change. We all know that we are living in some strange days, but they're also days of real opportunity for those who have an understanding of the times and for those who have the spiritual agility to respond appropriately. Whether you're a running back in the NFL or an NBA basketball player, one of the keys to success is found in your ability to pivot. If you are rehabbing an injury, a knee or a leg injury, it's not just a matter of strength returning. It's not even simply a matter of being able to bear weight or run in place, but it has everything to do with your pivot foot. And one of the lessons that we're all learning, it's actually a life lesson and a leadership lesson, is that it requires us to be able to pivot at critical times. And so today I want to talk to you exclusively about our International Summer Bible Conference, June the 15th through the 19th, 2020. I have said many times of late that the only thing that is certain is that everything is uncertain. So this morning, I want to help create an island of certainty for all of you regarding our Bible conference, which is now just about 2 months away. We will be hosting our conference as usual this year. However, we will be moving to an online platform to have our Bible conference this year. This is being dictated by some of the times that we're living in. There is talk about reopening our country, which is a very, very good thing. But this will vary from state to state and will surely carry some kind of phased opening to it. And so in this projection, large gatherings will be one of the last venues given consideration. And I think this is how it should be, because it puts the spiritual, the physical, mental, and emotional health of our congregations first. How do you host a normal Bible conference and social distance at the same time if on top of that people are wearing masks and the like? Because it's very hard to know how things will unfold next week, let alone 2 months from now. I'm forced to make a decision at a leadership level that will best serve everyone involved and give pastors, people, and congregations opportunity to prepare accordingly. This wasn't made unilaterally, but after direct and detailed communication with many of our leaders and our church staff, we came to this conclusion. By making this decision now, a couple of things can happen. The first is locally, we can direct all of our energies at providing the best conference experience that we can. Second, those of you who are in other states or other countries will be able to make preparations that will include you and your congregations as well. We're not going to hold anyone hostage by playing a waiting game. We already have a number of things in advance that we knew. We knew, first of all, that it would be close to impossible for our overseas pastors and delegates to attend our conference as they normally do. And this is significant because the international element or flavor is such a unique and important feature to our conference, and they make such an invaluable contribution just by their very presence. Then the other thing we knew is the reality of the situation we're living through with this pandemic would vary from state to state. Now we can always adjust things accordingly as the picture becomes clearer. But for instance, one press release probably 2 weeks ago from the state of Arizona said, quote, projections indicate that it could be 10 weeks before normalcy returns to Arizona. This puts us in mid-June. So an online format will help us accommodate things the best at this season, which I want to remind you will pass. I feel like I am the person tasked with the responsibility of ripping off the Band-Aid. Some of you may be people who like to remove it little by little. Others say, hey, just rip it off. And so I didn't want us to just react as a conference center as much as I felt the necessity that we had to lead. And we all feel an ouch in our spirits at this news because our Bible conferences are so much a part of the spiritual fabric, the mutual vision that has animated our lives and our churches for decades. It really is in our spiritual DNA. There will be some things about this year's conference that will be different. And let me say, different doesn't necessarily mean bad. We are planning on having our regular evening services, but we're going to start at 6 p.m. This will allow people and churches, both in the Eastern and in the Pacific time zones, to gather at a reasonable, a doable time. Churches overseas would be able to adjust their participation accordingly as well. And we will also be hosting one morning seminar Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and the time of that is to be determined. Now, because of a reduced roster, you might not hear some of your favorite preachers this year. It will also afford us the opportunity for some new and some fresh voices to be heard as well. We will not be able, unfortunately, to accommodate delegates as we normally do, but we have every intention of giving each of you as full of a conference experience as possible in a digital format. So let me just share with you and your church some things that you can expect from this year's Bible conference. Like always, number one, there will be the sharing and the sharpening of our vision. And it's not actually our vision, it is the Lord's vision, who commanded us to go and to make disciples of all nations. The second thing is we will be focusing on the equipping of the saints for the work of ministry in your city and in your nation. We look forward, thirdly, to strengthening the bonds of fellowship, that unique connection that links our lives together and stretches around the world. And finally, even though it will be through a computer screen or a mobile device, a conference communicates the reality that truth is not just taught as much as it is caught. We're believing that there can still be an impartation of truth, grace, and the life of Jesus Christ to your life and your congregation. We began the year 2020 with the theme, "Where is the God of miracles?" It was something that was extremely inspiring to our lives and to our faith and to our future. But little did we know how timely that truth would become as we reach the month of March and now the month of April. Where is the God of miracles? The revelation in the Bible of who God is, his nature, and his workings. And I do not intend to veer from that theme for our upcoming Bible conference. Also, realize that we are doing this with forward-looking hearts to the incredible reunion we will have as we host our 2021 conference in our new conference center. I am happy to tell you that things are moving ahead, in my opinion, with real supernatural grace. And so let me leave you with the final word. I'm getting a little weary myself of the term, the new normal. You read it everywhere, the new normal. Well, the problem is this implies that things will never again be the same, and everything is going to be this big, brave new world experience. Let me remind you that as you look at history, you and I are not the only people to have lived through a pandemic or a plague. On the other side of those horrible historical moments, God's people gathered together as they have always done. In fact, there is a longing in humanity to want to gather. I believe that this is a God-given longing. And most likely that desire will grow, especially as we begin to miss more and more those wonderful moments. And on top of this, a pandemic does not change God's word. In Hebrews chapter 10, we are told, "And let us consider one another in order to provoke love and good works, not neglecting to gather together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging each other, and all the more as you see the day approaching. We will gather again. On the other side of this pandemic, on the other side of our sheltering in place, life will likely be different in many ways, but Christians will be gathering again. Humanity will gather again as well. This is something that God has put, as I said, in the human spirit. And so the new normal doesn't mean that somehow we depart from the commands or the promises of God's word. That is our North Star. That is something that will never change. I am the Lord, Malachi said, I change not. And so I want to thank you for your time today. To all of our pastors, you can expect a follow-up letter or email, hopefully by the end of this week, detailing a number of the important features and things that will help you prepare. And then looking ahead next week at this same time, I want to share with you some more thoughts that I've called the journey to reopen. I want you to hold to that promise. I want you to hold to that confidence. We're going to do so with all of the wisdom, the prudence, the safety concerns that are necessary. And but I want you to be encouraged with that fact. And until then, God bless each and every one of you. We love you. We're praying for you. God is on the throne.